What's going on, guys? It's Steve. So I have a question for all of you guys out there. What would be the better decision for Melo and Chris Paul? Because obviously we know that the next big decision is where are Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony going to go. They're most likely going to team up. The question is where. Okay, the smartest thing, in my opinion, would be for Chris Paul to come to the New York Knicks. Because think about it. Carmelo Anthony still has that 2-year contract. I think 3 years left on that contract with the New York Knicks. Okay? So if Chris Paul came, they would have a big three instantly. Okay? The role players would be young with Hernan Gomez. Kristaps Porzingis is young. Okay? This team, and if they can amnesty Joakim Noah, the New York Knicks would be a great team for Chris Paul to come to. It would be good for his market. It would be good for every single aspect. They would be title contenders. They would be a great team in general. And Chris Paul wouldn't have to worry about injuries every dang month with Blake Griffin. It's like every month Blake Griffin gets injured. He wouldn't have to worry about that if he came to the New York Knicks to team up with Melo. That's the thing. That would be the easiest situation. Because if Carmelo Anthony were to go to the Los Angeles Clippers, guess what? One of the big three now is going to have to go, and one or two role players are going to have to go as well, because Carmelo Anthony is big bucks. Okay, so if Chris Paul were just to say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to come to the Knicks. Melo's contract is already set in stone. Porzingis' contract is already set in stone. Okay, we can amnesty Joakim Noah. Guess what? You have your big three right there. Your big three right there. So now, guess what? You wouldn't have to worry about signing all these other role players and all this other crap, because you already have everyone that you need. You have Hernan Gomez, okay? You have Kristaps Porzingis, and with Melo and Chris Paul, they're probably going to go to the conference finals for a few years and play against LeBron James. And guess what? That gives Porzingis the experience. And then guess what? Kristaps Porzingis is going to get even better, which means he has the potential to become that player that Porzingis wants him to be, even though I don't see him becoming that player. But he can become that player that Phil Jackson wants Porzingis to do. It's just Phil Jackson screwed himself over, and he never thought about this. He never thought, like, okay, we already have our team set in stone. If I amnesty Joakim Noah and we go ahead and get Chris Paul, guess what? We're title contenders. He never thought about that, which is what, and if I sound different, like high-pitched voice, I just woke up, okay? My voice is high-pitched when I wake up. Usually it's reversed. Most people, their voice is deep when they wake up. Mine is high-pitched. It's whatever. But Phil Jackson never thought about, oh, I can amnesty Joakim Noah, and then guess what? If Chris Paul comes, we already have our big three set in stone, and I won't have to worry about anything else. You know, that is what I don't understand about Phil Jackson. It's like he doesn't think about the future. Like, he thinks he's thinking about the future, but he's not. Because think about it. If Chris Paul came to the Knicks, that's an instant conference finals for the next 3 to 4 years with Melo and KP and Chris Paul on that team. Okay? Now add Kristaps Porzingis getting that playoff experience, deep playoff experience that, you know, he needs to take that next step. If you look at Kyrie Irving, when did he take that next step in terms of being clutch and all this other crap? After he went to the finals and deep playoff experiences, choking in the playoffs and all. After he experienced all of these deep playoff runs, guess what? He took that next step, and now guess what? He's one of the best damn players in the NBA. And if you want Kristaps Porzingis to become that, which I honestly don't see him as a number one option on a team, but that's not the point. The point is, if you want him to become that, you have to have that playoff experience, which is why it's best to get Chris Paul. But now, the flip side to that is, what are the chances of Chris Paul still coming to the New York Knicks after everything that has happened? What are the chances of him actually coming and saying, you know what, I'm still going to come to the Knicks after Phil Jackson tried to kick Carmelo Anthony out? Like, what are the chances of that happening? Very slim. Okay? Chris Paul would have to be a really forgiving person, and especially Carmelo Anthony would have to be a very forgiving person to say, you know what? Look, you made a mistake in the past. I understand that. You made a big mistake. Okay, fine. Just promise not to do it again, and guess what? We'll be on your side. But unfortunately, Phil Jackson ain't going to do that. There's too many egos, okay? You got Melo's ego, even though he doesn't really have one, because if he did, he would have defended himself publicly, but he didn't. He kept it humble. He kept it mellow, okay? Yeah, but you still have that ego there, okay? You have Chris Paul's ego. Chris Paul ain't going to take that crap. I'll tell you that right now. You see him yelling at his teammates and DeAndre and Blake Griffin whenever they screw up. Chris Paul is not going to take that crap. Melo's a mellow guy, so his name is perfect for his personality. He's one of those hood mellow guys, okay? Like the hood dudes that's like whatever to everything. You know what I mean? That's what Melo is. But Chris Paul is not like that. He's not going to take that crap. He's going to scream right in your face. He's going to tell you straight up to your face. Okay? That is not Chris Paul. Chris Paul would fight back publicly if Phil Jackson attacked him publicly, okay? So, and then you have Phil Jackson's ego, and now you have Kristaps Porzingis, who's also unhappy with the way that Phil Jackson treated Melo. Even Porzingis came out and said he doesn't understand why Phil Jackson's doing this to Melo. He's saying it's confusing. Yeah, in a sense, it doesn't make sense at all. Okay, Phil Jackson, I honestly don't know what the hell is going through his mind. I don't know why he never thought about this. So, the options are for Carmelo Anthony and Chris Paul. Either Melo goes to the Clippers, because they're definitely going to team up. We already know this. They came out and said they want to play together. So either there's three options. Okay? Actually, yeah, there's three options. The third one is extremely extreme. Okay? So option number one, the most likely option, is Carmelo Anthony goes to the Los Angeles Clippers, which means Blake Griffin's going to have to leave maybe to the Thunder, and they're going to have to trade away assets, which is going to be terrible for both Chris Paul and Melo, because now they're going to have to wait another year until they can get better assets around them. The best option, in my opinion, even though it's less likely than the number one option, is Chris Paul comes to the Knicks. The Knicks amnesty Joakim Noah, get him the hell out of New York. Okay? Do not re-sign Derrick Rose, or if you want to, for less money to come off the bench, he would be a great backup point guard. He'd be the best backup point guard in NBA history. Okay, because he's definitely better than, he's like a top 15 point, I'd still say top 10 point guard. Let me see. Kyrie, Dame, Steph, James, Ross, CP3. Yeah, he's probably still a top 10, top 12 point guard in the NBA. Okay, so if he wants to do that, he can do that. Okay, then you got multiple conference finals appearances, get Kristaps Porzingis to develop, and then as soon as Melo and CP3 start to slow down, let KP take the wheel, and guess what? Now KP's doing most of the scoring, but you still have the veteran experience for crunch time in the clutch for CP3 and Carmelo Anthony. We all know Carmelo Anthony is statistically the clutchest player since 2003. That's just a simple fact. We all understand this. We know this. It's a fact. Carmelo Anthony is statistically the clutchest player since 2003. So that's option two. Now, the more extreme, very unlikely option three, since they all came out and said they want to play together. Carmelo Anthony gets traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Kevin Love. Kyrie Irving gets traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. Well, actually, I think CP3 is a free agent. So they trade Kyrie Irving for a lesser point guard and a couple defenders maybe. And Chris Paul signs with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, that's extreme, and that's most likely not going to happen, which, as I said, probably like a 0.1% chance of that happening. But since they all want to play together, Dwyane Wade's going to come as well. That would be epic. Chris Paul, Dwyane Wade, LeBron James, and Melo. Now imagine Chris Bosh returned and Bosh played. Oh my goodness. Talking 5-6 championships. That would be crazy. Oh man. Anyway. So, you know what's crazy? I was thinking about this the other night. Thinking about the Knicks. My Knicks, right? Anyway. So I'm watching the playoffs and I'm thinking about the Knicks. And I'm like, you know what? If Melo didn't take that rookie extension for that extra $30 million in 2007, that extra 3-year extension, he could have left and went and joined LeBron and Wade in Miami, and they would have won like 6 or 7. They probably would have still been competing for NBA championships. That's how crazy that team would have been if it were Melo instead of Chris Bosh. Like, oh my, because that was Melo's prime. They would have never lost in 2011, even with LeBron choking, because Melo would have been dropping like 40 a game. And in 2014, they would have destroyed the Spurs because Melo and LeBron. LeBron was averaging 28 on 60, 50, and 40 from the field. Okay? And, 80 from the free throw line. Right? 60, 50, and 80. That's ridiculous, right? On the best defensive player in NBA history. One of the best. And Melo would have been dropping like 35. I mean, they would have won. You know? Come on, man. They would have still been competing for champions. So, those are the options for the New York Knicks. Now, obviously, the most likely is Melo leaves. But the best option is Chris Paul comes to the Knicks. The Knicks amnesty Joakim Noah, get him the hell out of there, buy him out in a sense, and guess what? You got your big three right there, and you can see what you can build around in the future. Anyway, guys, it's been your man Steve. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm out. Peace.